Jilika, what inspired you to start Cogniti?
So, I am actually a neuroscience researcher by training. Most of my professional experience has been into neuroscience research and science communication.
Jilika, what message would you like to share with young entrepreneurs who aspire to make a social impact through technology?
I think do what you love, fall in love with the problem statement, be obsessed with your end user. And like younger children being on screens can contribute towards the threat of virtual autism. Virtual autism is where the child shows its symptoms of autism, but they don't really have it. Right? Their communication delays, they do not interact socially, like they do not experience the sensory aspect of the world, lack of contact with social life, attention deficit, difficulty managing emotions, repetitive behavior, all of the stuff that you see in a standard autistic person popping up in children who have been exposed to too much screen time. We are freeing up a lot of time these teachers spend on manual work, lesson planning, communicating with the parents, task assignment, all of these things, they seem to be very minor things. But when we are dealing with a relatively different segment, segment that is cognitively so diverse. I think AI can cut a lot of the manual time that these teachers spend around 2 to 3 hours a day doing all of this. We're freeing up all of that time. We're giving them leverage. We want to amplify their efforts so that we take care of all the start work, we take care of all the groundwork, and let them do what they're the best at doing. We're putting them up the value chain. Let them do what they're good at. They're good at engaging with the students. They're good at figuring out what works in a bigger group setting. So let them do that and leave all of that around. I always had this ethos around my career that whatever I end up doing in life needs should impact a lot of people at scale, like hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people it should be impacting. And the very first incarnation was to do something in the clinical domain, and that's what I tried to do. But then I again realized that that understanding of problems is just not enough. You got to do something about it. You got to build something which reaches a lot of people at the same time. Which, as a scientist, it was not really possible. Nobody can afford to have that employee mindset. जितना होना चाह रहा है उतना करो, and then 9 to 5, 8 hours.
Also, do you believe about any of the biggest misconceptions people have about AI powered learning systems, especially for children with special education needs? So, folks, you have tuned into TGV and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording. And we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Navin Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so folks, today we are joined by Jilika Trisal. She is a social entrepreneur, co-founder and CEO of Cogniti, which is an AI-powered personalized learning platform designed to revolutionize special education for children with learning differences. Her mission is to empower 1 million special educational needs children in India by 2027, which is a whopping target. And she wants to make the quality education accessible, affordable, and impactful. So, Jilika, before we get started, my basic question is why should somebody tune into our episode to spend 25 to 30 minutes?
Perfect. So, why should people be watching this episode? Why should people listen to this episode? Okay, so we are into the business of making education more accessible, more affordable, and making education more standardized for people, children with learning disabilities. And the problem that I come across when we share about our work is that people's understanding of disability is not very evolved because governments, health agencies, they're trying their best to educate people about disabilities, but the problem is that the efforts stop at awareness. Like there aren't a lot of viable avenues for screening and rehabilitation, which are the most critical components to care in the disability space. So, and we are people who are trying to build something in education, which comes under rehabilitation, which is very important for the current set of people who are disabled in India. So, through this episode, I want people to know that disability care does not stop at awareness. There is a lot to it, and some people are taking steps for that. And I would like people to know that disability is just not about knowing what it is. It is it's a lot of things, and that's what I would be sharing in this episode. And also for entrepreneurs who want to start up in this space, I hope that whatever I will share is a good starting point for them to pick up and see where else things can be better.
Okay, excellent. I'm looking forward to the conversation. And today we are going to discuss an interesting topic: bridging gaps in special education through artificial intelligence. So I'm sure we are going to have a lot of fun in today's episode. And Jilika, being the founder of Cogniti, so she's trying to bridge the gap in special education through artificial intelligence. So let's delve further into it. And before that, let us tickle her brain. So Jilika, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'm going to mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready, let's get started.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Steve Ahern, one of the judges of the Asia Podcast Awards. I'm interrupting this episode to let you know that you're listening to an award-winning podcast. This podcast won its category in the 2024 Podcast Awards, so you know you're listening to quality. Enjoy your listening experience, and congratulations to the team who created this award-winning podcast for you.
All right. So my first word to you is curiosity,
Children,
invention,
future,
future,
dreams,
universe,
limitless,
leadership,
hard decisions,
success,
subjective,
cognitive,
the dream,
career,
real, opportunity,
life.
life, like way beyond our imagination, very big.
Okay, comes my last word for you. It is aliens.
Interesting entities to be friends with.
Loved all your responses, and thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round. There is one more rapid fire round toward the end of the episode. So stay
Okay.
tuned. And Jilika, first of all, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful to be talking to you and understanding what you've been doing at the Guiding Voice. I think it is amazing work of sharing so many people's stories with so many other people.
Thank you. And for those of you who have tuned into the episode, let me give you a brief background. I came across Jilika Trisal's profile as part of a leadership training that I'm attending, which is being facilitated by Professor TV Rao. And Jilika's profile has been listed as one of the case studies. And the moment I came across all the amazing work that she's been doing, I immediately invited her to the show, and she has consented. And now we are having this conversation. And I'm hoping you all will have a lot to learn and take away from this episode. So, Jilika, let's get started and talk to us about your guiding voice.
Sure. So my guiding voice is my mom. She's like the Sarthi, if you've seen the Mahabharata where Lord Krishna used to be the charioteer to Arjun and he used to guide him at every step of the war and, making him aware of his dharma, his duty. I think for me, it is my mom. She's like a guiding voice, a sounding board, like a friend, philosopher, guide in a mom, you know. She's like the grounding force of my life where, if things are not going well, she's the one that, times will pass. You just got to bash through it. And when things are going well, she's the one, grounding me that, okay, now things are going well, that's great. But still a lot of the stuff that you're doing is not figured out yet. So, stay grounded and keep your feet on the ground and eyes towards the sky. So I think that is something my mom has always been, and like she always ensures that I am grounded and I am like mentally focused towards what I'm supposed to do and not get carried away by what's going on outside. So yeah, I think my mom is that mentor, that Sarthi, that guiding force in my life.
Superb. So amazing, and kudos to her. And let's move to the next question. Talk to us about your success mantra, as in, share with us top three things that have contributed to your success so far.
Success. I don't consider myself to be successful in any way right now, but I mean, I'm on a path like everyone else. So I may not give you the clearest and the most accurate answer about what contributed to my success, but what I feel works for me is firstly curiosity, not being satisfied with what is just being served to you, asking more questions and seeing the possibilities in every situation. The second, I think, is perseverance. They're just having the power to dash on regardless and doing what you're supposed to without getting bogged down by external factors. And the third is the ability to ask for help because that is something a lot of founders struggle with because we're supposed to be in that character of knowing everything, having our shit together, being that alpha character. Well, I mean, for most of the founders, that's absolutely not true. We also struggle with a lot of things. We also don't know where we are heading to, and sometimes when we start with this distant delulu about a situation, kar lenge, ho jayega, but we don't sometimes know what lies ahead of us. So asking people for help who may know more can help us and can help us to also you know power through our journeys in a faster way. And yeah, most of the world is pretty kind to actually help you out with the required help. You just have to reach out. Most of the people will surprise you with how kind they are and they'll help you do things. If people see the value in your vision, they'll help you do things and they'll make sure that your efforts are taken to the next level. It's just that you have to share your vision with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely concur with you, man. My key takeaway is that it's okay to not know everything and it's okay to admit so that you can find right answers by tapping right people. That's
Right.
amazing. Yeah. And Jilika, what inspired you to start Cogniti?
Okay. So I am actually a neuroscience researcher by training. Most
Hmm.
of my professional experience has been into neuroscience research and science communication. And most of the labs I worked in were working on some problems in psychiatry, which could possibly change the face of how psychiatric disorders are understood and how more targeted therapies can be, made by that understanding. Now, as I was progressing in academia, I realized that the impact of my work might not see the light of the day. Probably because the nature of science, I mean, doing those experiments and like getting clinical validation and all, it's a pretty slow process. And I always had this ethos around my career that whatever I end up doing in life needs should impact a lot of people at scale, like hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people it should be impacting. And the very first incarnation was to do something in the clinical domain, and that's what I tried to do. But then I again realized that that understanding of problems is just not enough. You got to do something about it. You got to build something which reaches a lot of people at the same time, which as a scientist it was not really possible. So, and I was always like a bit entrepreneurial since college. I did small little ventures and like I was doing. I started a few clubs, did like co-founded a non-profit. So I knew that entrepreneurship has the potential. It's like an enabler for ordinary people to do extraordinary things and to take charge of things that you genuinely care about. And I always had some struggles with learning. I had a few special learning needs growing up. So I knew that my technical background, my professional background is a great head start for me. I lived this problem. I've been on the receiving end of the stick. So I can marry these two things together and build something. That's why. during my final year of college, I actually took an academic break, and the story around it is a bit funny. My thesis advisor left the university very suddenly, and my project was like somewhere totally derailed, gone, had no future. My university department was insisting me to, change my project or do something else, but I was not ready to do that. So I just formed an external collaboration with a university outside. And like it was a bioinformatics project, so it did not require me to go to college. So I faked an offer letter. I showed it to my college. I've gotten a job. And I used to work at a special school in my city because I had like all the time in the world then. I had like 4 or 5 months to myself. I could do anything. So yeah, I worked at this special needs school and I got a very close peek into how the special needs learning system works from the end user standpoint. That's the student, the parents, the teachers, and somehow through those students I used to work with, I shadowed a few special educators at a school. So I used to talk to a lot of parents and students, and I could see my childhood like literally replaying through those children. So that was something which, you know, pushed me towards doing something about this problem. I never started with an intention that I'm going to start a company one day. I was very, very focused on my academic path. I wanted to end up doing a PhD, become a professor, or do something around those lines. Never ever thought that I would be an entrepreneur. Just did it for fun. I did not want to go to college. That's why I worked at that special school, but probably destiny has its own ways of pushing you to things you're meant to do.
Mhm.
So yeah, that like all of this together like inspired me to start Cogniti. I had two other friends, like who are my co-founders now, Falguni and Shovik. Falguni handles all things product and design at Cogniti, and Shovik handles all things tech. So I told them that this is a problem. I see a lot of potential, and both of them also have a personal connection with the problem statement we are solving for. So we knew that something can be built, and we started to, validate the market more, validate the market potential and understand what's going on in the system from the experts and from other parents, from other teachers. And we were like, okay, there is potential for productization over here. That's why all three of us came together, started the company last year in May, and we are doing what we are doing right now. Nobody tells you how difficult it is to launch a company. Nobody tells you how painful it is to be a founder and literally, get all sorts of punches but still dash on regardless. And nobody tells you how difficult it is. And then there are days when you don't want to get up because it's not going well and you don't want to get up. The face what's going on, but you still have to. Nobody tells you how to do that. Probably they also don't know, but yeah, this is something. Like the other thing is sometimes is I still don't understand them. So whenever I'm talking to my legal person or ICA, they tell me thousand things which I'm not aware of. And I'm like, okay. So then I have them take the lead. I'm like, okay, I don't understand it. Please tell me what to do. Apart from this, yeah, like the very basic farming stuff. Financial modeling is something I don't enjoy doing, but I still have to. So yeah, that's a challenge sometimes. To, not not wanting to do that, but you still have to. Apart from this, you know, navigating leadership styles, I think that is something which was a very big challenge while launching this company because my co-founders also they also have very strong opinions about things like how things have to be done. I also have like strong opinions about what has to be done. The people in our team because we don't like whichever person works with us is not working for us. They're working with us towards this mission. So we consider them to be a co-leader in this journey. Nobody can afford to have that employee mindset. जितना बोले जा रहा है उतना करो and then 9 to 5, 8 hours, finish your work and then nothing matters really. For us, they need for like the people who work with us, they are as invested towards the problem statement as we are. So everybody has a very strong opinion about how things have to be done, how things should be done. So navigating all of that, in a way that everybody's voice is heard and everybody gets a chance to do what they want to, that can be a bit tricky sometimes because all of you people coming together need to amplify your efforts and your vision towards the end goal. A lot of times, a very complex situation can happen. So, you know, coming up with a delicate balance where everybody is heard and you're still making progress, I think that is something founders are just getting better at doing. You just can't say that, you've done this, so now you're good at it. Yeah. Every day is a surprise.
Mhm. Okay. And talking about artificial intelligence, AI, right? It is a buzzword today. Wherever you go, people are talking about artificial intelligence. And when it comes to special education, like, do you see any unique opportunities that AI provides, which the traditional methods cannot offer?
Absolutely. I think AI is an amplifier for all the legacy players in the special education
Mhm.
ecosystem. In fact, Cogniti does not compete with the traditional players. Cogniti amplifies them. Cogniti empowers them. And I'll tell you how. So the problem that Cogniti is particularly is solving is twofold. We're solving for the end user and the educator as well. The end user faces issues with accessibility, and institutions face various challenges related to the efficiency of their processes, because any special educator takes around 6 to 7 months to figure out a plan that actually works for the child that they're catering to. Given the cognitive diversity of the students they're handling, just understanding the child's limits, AI can cut all of that planning time from a few months to, I don't know, a few days or 2 weeks max. So AI that way is productizing all of the manual work that these teachers have to do. And by that, we are freeing up a lot of time these teachers spend on manual work, lesson planning, communicating with the parents, task assignment, all of these things, they seem to be very minor things. But when you're dealing with a relatively different segment, a segment that is cognitively so diverse, I think AI can cut a lot of the manual time that these teachers spend around 2 to 3 hours a day doing all of this. We're freeing up all of that time. We're giving them leverage. Leverage. This leverage they can use to do things that they're the best. They're the best at engaging with that children. They're the best at figuring out what works in a group setting. So that is what they should be spending their time on, and leave all the slut work on us and on the AI. AI is an amplifier of thoughts for sure. But yes, I also say that AI can't solve every problem in education. Education needs to have that human touch, a non-negotiable human touch. And AI again, AI just solves for the structural inefficiencies. The heart and core of education lies in human touch, and no AI, no technology in the world can replace that.
Mhm. Got it. And are there any success stories or aha moments after starting Cognity which validated, okay, saying that I'm in the right space and I'm working on the right thing, kind of thing?
I think, look, the AI genie is out of the bottle, okay? And schools, institutions are wanting to use AI, but they are again concerned around the safe and ethical usage. Because you're using it with children, and then the data privacy concerns, and how the AI is actually shaping children's beliefs around certain things. So schools are genuinely concerned about it, but they're also curious about how AI can help them improve outcomes. And we've been very lucky to work with partners who believe in the potential of AI. And yeah, that's a who believe in our potential, who believe in products like Cognity, improving learning outcomes and helping them work on the challenges that they're facing. I think that is something which is a big, yes, a big validation for us to be doing what we are doing. We have been approached by institutions who we did not even dream of working with as a 9 month old company. Yeah, I mean, I can't disclose the names right now because we are still in the process of
Yeah.
figuring out the final details with them. But again, I mean, me and my co-founders could never dream working with the people we are working with right now. And yeah,
Mhm. Got it.
sometimes when you have good intentions and you are really hustling hard towards the problem, opportunities walk to you. I think that is what we are very grateful for. And we would like to, uphold the confidence and the trust of the people who believed in us when we really had nothing to offer.
Mhm. Also, do you believe about any of the biggest misconceptions people have about AI powered learning systems, especially for children with special education needs?
So the
Hmm.
biggest misconception people have about AI powered learning is that it can solve all problems. It can never solve all the problems. So AI is just a way to personalize the learning experience for every child based on their cognitive profile. It helps us scale for the accessibility challenges, scale the solutions for the accessibility challenges and help the educators with whatever manual stuff that they have to go through. Matlab, AI basically automates all of that. Like for any educator to come up with a learning plan that actually works for the child, it takes around 6 to 7 months. AI cuts all of that planning time to a few weeks or probably a few days. Okay. So the AI genie is out of the bottle, and schools and institutions are curious about how they can incorporate AI into their systems. However, again, they're concerned because of the safety and ethical considerations that surround AI, especially for education. And we are dealing with a relatively more sensitive segment of the population here. So the concerns increase a little bit. But again, as I said, what AI can do to, scale the solutions for all the accessibility challenges that we are solving for the end user. And also it helps us to, make special school systems more efficient, by productizing this pipeline where the learning plans are adjusted as per the child's cognitive profile. And that process, that learning planning time going down from like a few months to a few weeks, probably 6 months to 2 weeks. I think that is something AI is really helping institutions with. It's helping them with their task assignment. All of the stuff that teachers take approximately 2 to 3 hours of their day doing, we are cutting all of that time. We are, in fact, giving them that time back. We're giving them that leverage. And again, we partner with the legacy players. Again, we do not compete with special educators at all. We want to amplify their efforts so that we take care of all the scut work, we take care of all the groundwork, and let them do what they're the best at doing. We're putting them up the value chain. Let them do what they're good at. They're good at engaging with the students. They're good at figuring out what works in a bigger group setting. So let them do that and leave all of that on us. But more than AI, I think AI again, people are curious. People are still yet to see the full effect of AI powered learning. I think more than that, education and therapists are education institutes and therapists are concerned about the use of mobile first, technology first interventions per se, because again, the first thing that a lot of therapists tell people on the spectrum is that cut your screen time down. And that, and like younger children being on screens can contribute towards the threat of virtual autism. Virtual autism is where the child shows like symptoms of autism, but they don't really have it. Right? Their communication delays, they do not interact socially. Like they do not experience the sensory aspect of the world, lack of contact with social life, attention deficit, difficulty managing emotions, repetitive behavior, all of the stuff that you see in a standard autistic person, popping up in children who have been exposed to too much screen time. It's not a medical diagnosis, but again, the threat to that is very real. And that's why interventions like Cogniti are also, we are figuring out ways where we can facilitate social interaction. We can help children, incorporate their incorporate solutions like ours into their playtime, into their natural surroundings, into stuff that kids naturally like doing. And but our thesis around going mobile first is also like very deep. It comes from a very deep thesis that mobile is the best way to scale, and mobile is the best assistive technology, and there is research to back that. Mobile mobiles have the most intuitive user interface. to which any person can interact with. You have so many neurodivergent, non-verbal people who can't actually speak stuff verbally, but they can interact through mobile assistive technology so well that they've gotten a voice through those devices. So mobile is one of the reasons that they're going mobile first is because of this. And the other thing is that mobile is a very low end device compared to the other devices we have, right? So if we put our software infrastructure on such a low end device, and you look at India, India has 60% of smartphone adoption, both digital India. I mean, for a country like us, it's huge. For a lower middle income country like us. So, and most of the special education infrastructure needs to be upgraded in countries like ours. And mobiles are the best way to scale that infrastructure. It's the most cost effective way to scale it. So, that's the rationale around us going mobile first. And yeah, I think companies are striking a delicate balance between guaranteeing those learning outcomes and also ensuring that the child's natural environment does not get compromised. All of these threats around virtual autism, we're working very hard towards mitigating those threats. We're working with professionals, and hopefully, we should be able to strike a balance.
Okay. Moving ahead, can you draw the similarities between a researcher and an entrepreneur
Oh,
since
yeah.
you have faced both, right?
Sure. So, basically, so when I used to pitch Cogniti to people, everybody asked that, what is the background that you have? What are you offering on the table as a founder? Both of my co-founders have some of the other startup experience. I worked with startups. They have built startups since then. So for them, I mean, I could talk so much about their experience, but I mean, I don't have any traditional startup experience per se. All of my experience was in academia. So I was very kind of, hesitant about my background. But then I read this article by Sam Altman about researchers and founders, and that's where I got a lot of confidence about my own background, where he highlights the similarities between the two, and how researchers and founders have very similar thought processes, and how researchers should actually think like entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs should be thinking like researchers. That was the most interesting part of that article. So I think the first thing, the similarity that researcher and entrepreneur have is that both of the people have very good understanding of problems in their segment, whatever work they're doing. They understand what problems are worth solving for, and they're always looking for ways to, do something about those problems. They're always figuring out ways. They're always, I mean, their sense of problems is very, very good. They know what kind of problems should be solved and what are the problems worth solving.
Mhm. Okay.
Apart from this, I think
And
there's a lot of creativity that goes into both the
mhm,
professions. A lot of creativity. Like, they do not have time. I think both researchers and entrepreneurs don't have time for rules that don't make sense. They are like, they have very strong personal values. Like, one of the most important is independence, autonomy. So whatever helps them come with their best work, that is the thing they are following. Okay, no time for rules, no time for rules that don't make sense actually. Apart from this, they have a very high tolerance for ambiguity. There's a bias for action. They know it makes sense, no looking back. They're pretty good at providing the immediate next steps in the big picture. And not lots of ideas with these people. You sometimes just start a fund will tell you 10 ideas in an hour, 10, 15 ideas in an hour. And same with the researcher. They have so many ideas, there's a lot of vision that these people come up with. They're very good brainstorming partners. Some ideas will be very impractical. You'll be like, what bullshit, what? There's never a dull moment with these people. When you're talking to them, or like, when you're brainstorming. So, yeah.
all right. And going back to your experiences with Shulini Ventures and also having organized TEDx events, right? Did they contribute in any way to your entrepreneurial journey?
Okay, so yes, because that's what that the main venture for us. We're like the running a mini company where you're raising money, you're selling tickets, you're figuring out the venue logistics, you're curating speakers, you're coordinating travel. So me and my co-founder, Falguni, both of us co-founded TEDx in our college. We were the ones who brought TEDx into our university system. We got the first license, both of us. So, like, yeah, that was our very first entrepreneurial project together. It's like, yeah, give us a lot of this because even very well received by the university audience. People really liked what we were doing. Our email was like a big hit. So people were very happy. So Falguni and I got a lot of confidence that okay, we should be doing more things together. Then the two of us launched a very small education center during the lockdown. We figured out what we have to teach, but we were not pretty good at executing all of that. And yeah, of course, we were not able to find the right people who could resonate with our vision. So we we failed. We failed in five. So yeah, I mean, after that failure, we both were like, okay, there are lots of people who want to start things like us, but they again they have the right start. They don't know where they should be looking for help and what seed capital, what sources of capital to be tapping in to for their initial steps. So that's why Falguni and I came up with Shulini Ventures also, so that we could give people in our college a platform to launch their ventures and get the right help and do not make the mistakes that we did. We are very ashamed of the mistakes we have made and like we're not ashamed, but yeah, we laugh about it. We tell it, okay, what were we thinking back then? How was that even possible? So Shuli Ventures, the rationale around launching Shuli Ventures was to help college kids get a better idea of what it is to start up and learn from the people who've done
Hmm. Yeah. Looks like you have had amazing experience organizing TEDx event, and it is not a joke at all. Because personally, I was a speaker last year, and I know how it took. I mean, what efforts it took to organize an event at a large scale and uh, without any cushion for mistakes and making sure that guests are given amazing experience and all. So kudos to you guys on that. Mhm. Excellent. All right. So, after that amazing conversation so far, it's time for us to add some more spice and some more excitement to the episode, which means it brings us to the second rapid fire round. And if you're ready, let's get started.
Oh, let's go.
Okay. My first bullet is if you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
I'd probably write about poverty only. Because look, again, we are institutions first. We tend to institutions and governments. But I mean, I most of our branding marketing is not focused on consumers at all. But I would really like our end users and their parents to know, especially the parents to know that community is working very hard. We understand what struggle you have to go through, but community is working hard for you to be that sign of relief, at least in the education space. We we know that the like you go through days that are too much, but we are on it. Take care of yourself, take care of your health, and we are working very hard. And we're just like, if there is any parent of a special needs child who's watching this, they can connect with us and they can let us know what exactly we can do to make things better, what we can exactly help them with. We are again institution facing, but we work with a lot of parents to understand the user experience side of things and how better we can do things on our product. Whether they should know that we are with them. Yeah.
All right. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Okay. I think I'm curious. I'm very curious.
You are super curious. Okay. And if you could have a conversation with artificial intelligence tool 20 years into the future, what would you ask about special education?
What could we do better?
Okay. That's a solid question. And if you had unlimited resources and backing, how would you redesign the entire special education ecosystem in India?
I would not spend any of my time raising capital at all. I
No.
think I would like to work. I would have liked to work with more non-profits if there were unlimited resources in backing, because non-profits work at the very grassroots level and they understand and they're exposed to a lot of scale. I would really love to work with them that way. Apart from this, I mean, if I had like all the money in the world, I would probably try and bring like look, government is doing a good job with awareness. But as I said, like in the earlier part of my conversation, I would like to bring screening and rehabilitation under the same roof. Disability screening and disability rehabilitation. Now, I am more like there are multiple classes to disability. I understand neurodevelopmental disability the best. So I would like to bring avenues for screening and rehabilitation under the same roof. Now that can probably be through technical infrastructure or probably through grassroots, in-person initiatives. But yeah, either way, that is my way of redesigning the ecosystem.
Excellent. What is the most inspiring TEDx talk you have ever watched?
Inspiring. Okay. Lots of them actually. There are two. So one is Grit by Angela Duckworth, and the other one is Do Schools Kill Creativity by Sir Ken Robinson.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
I think both of the
mhm,
talks really shaped my understanding around. I mean, Grit also because where Angela Duckworth explains Dweck's experiments on how people with grit fared better in their lives versus the ones who did not exhibit the traits around being a gritty individual. Apart from this, I think Ken Robinson's, I watched that talk when I was in the 11th grade. So a lot of my philosophy around the education system stems from the talk that I watched, his talk.
yeah. Even I've watched Angela Duckworth's talk on grit. I think it's one of the best TEDx talks, and she was able to
It
convey
is.
whatever is expected. Yeah, wonderful. All right, so moving ahead.
Like, this is something I tell a lot of people, and they get very surprised that I shared that I used to stammer as a kid, actually.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people get very surprised hearing that. I don't know why, but yeah,
Okay, you are a role model in the social entrepreneurship space.
role model. I think the founders of Rocket Learning, they've done great work.
Okay. And here comes the last one for the second rapid fire round. If you could give advice to your 17-year-old self, what would it be?
बीत जाएगा ये वक्त भी.
Excellent. And I loved all your responses. With that, let's flip back to the mainstream. So, Jilika, what message would you like to share with young entrepreneurs who aspire to make a social impact through technology?
I think do what you love. Fall in love with the problem statement. Be obsessed with your end user. Always, like, incorporate what they say into your feedback loops and build what they want, not you think works. A lot of time, a lot of times uh, entrepreneurs fall in love with the solution instead of the problem. Like that's a very dangerous situation to be in because then you will not be able to listen to the feedback objectively and act on it. So do what you love, fall in love with the problem statement, be obsessed with the customer. And yeah, if you're doing, and yeah, please do whatever you're doing for the right reasons. Don't do it for the money, don't do it for the fame. So initial days, there is no money. We are literally surviving on a very bare minimum salary. If you've been able to raise capital, and for fame, there are other less painful ways of being famous. Foundering is just not the. If you're looking for fame, do not become an entrepreneur. That's what I mean to say. Because what I've seen, a lot of people before even starting something, they post on their LinkedIn and Twitter that we're founder of XYZ. But being a founder comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of stuff that's not very pleasant also. So respect the gravity of being that, and if you just want to do it for fame or just for visibility, do something else. There are 100 other ways of getting that. The founder title is a very painful way to make a living and only to even get that visibility. Because when you're genuinely invested in solving a problem, visibility becomes very tertiary for you. You are genuinely so invested in solving that problem that you don't care about it so much.
Awesome, awesome, Jilika, and thank you for being part of the show. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. And how is your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice?
I think it's great. I really love the questions that you and Payal asked me. And it was a great experience talking to you all about special education, sharing my thoughts on the disability ecosystem in India, and also some of my highs and lows as an entrepreneur. It, thank you for being so gracious in asking your questions and getting those things out of me. So yeah, I mean it's great. I heard a couple of your episodes. I think you're doing great work by sharing stories of people who are trying to change systems and build things. So thank you for having me and thank you for sharing my story. And I think you're doing great work and it deserves all the recognition. Yes, and I wish you the very best in taking your podcast further.
Pleasure is mine hosting you, and I wish you and the entire team at Cogniti all the best in everything that you guys are doing. More power to you because you're working for a noble cause, and I'm sure your solutions are going to reach the intended audience and make a difference in their lives. So thank you once
Hey,
again.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
sure. So, all right. So, friends, that was our episode with Jilika Trisal. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. If you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV. Now, let's hop into the trivia segment. So, today I want to talk about significant turning points in the origins of special education. First one is about delayed legislative action. Despite compulsory education laws being in place since 1918, it wasn't it wasn't until the passage of the Education for All Handicapped Children Act in 1975 that students with disabilities were guaranteed the right to public education. And this significant delay underscores the prolonged oversight in addressing the educational rights of children with special needs. And second fact is about the influence of civil rights movement. The momentum gained from the civil rights movements of the 1950s and 1960s played a pivotal role in advancing special education, and the landmark Brown v. Board of Education case in 1954, which challenged racial segregation, also set a precedent for questioning the exclusion and segregation of students with disabilities, leading to increased advocacy for their educational rights. So, folks, what is your biggest takeaway from this episode? I would love to hear from you. And also, thank if you have any guest speaker suggestions or topic recommendations, do let us know. Thank you so much once again for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. So, until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.